is Jeff, the host of the Gridiron.
All right. Welcome to the Gridiron. If you can give this video a thumbs up or maybe share this video, that would be absolutely freaking phenomenal. If you subscribe to my channel, thank you. If not, please get down below, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell icon. That way, next time I go live or if I put a video out, you'll be notified. And it's free of charge. What do you got to lose, right? But if you are subscribed to my channel, thank you. If you want to help support my channel, description box below, very top link, takes you to my membership page. I got 3 different membership levels. Each one has their own little perks to them. So if you want to help support my channel, it would mean so much to me. And I thank you in advance. Thank you. And then finally, just underneath that, in the description box below, it's a link that takes you to my Facebook group. It's called the New York Giants, the Gridiron. It's my Facebook group. We have over 9,700 members in the group. It is doing simply marvelous, might I add. Basically, if I'm alive and breathing, and if I got internet access, I'm putting stuff in this group down there 365. It's called the New York Giants, the Gridiron. It's my Facebook group. Please join it. You will not be dissatisfied. I promise. Well, hey, Ryan's Big Blue Podcast. What's up, brother? How's it going? Thanks for checking in with me here. 11:30 at night. Yeah. It is late. So I appreciate anybody spends any time this late at night checking me out. Thank you. I greatly appreciate it. Well, got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. Obviously still got the OTAs going on. But it's great having everybody, what Daboll saying, everybody's showing up. Not everybody's participating. So some people's coming back from injuries and all that. But even though they can't do any, there's no contact or anything like that, it's certainly nice having the guys in the building, right? So, but I seen this one here. This one is kind of interesting. It's usually what the Giants are going, the way that they're going about their business this season, right? It just, especially if the way things really were, as bad as things were last season. Usually, when as bad as the Giants are, usually there's a lot of turnover. Sometimes there's even the front office, right? That's not the case. I mean, if you start thinking about it, right? I mean, not only did Tim Mara keep pretty much of course you're going to lose some coaches. Of course, every year we always lose a running back coach. So I think we've had 800 running back coaches in the past 800 years. But Mr. Mara's keeping the front office, the head coach, everything's still intact, right? But I mean, if you start thinking about it, and especially if you think about what was their one of their worst? They had a bunch of them, but I mean, their offense was horrible. Now, for many reasons, of course, when you have 4 quarterbacks playing, that usually causes some kind of problems, right? When you have as many offensive lineups, the offensive lineups, different lineups as the Giants had, that always causes problems. But I've said, if you think about it, right? I mean, as bad as their offense was last season, they're just carrying almost the same offense over to this season, with the exception of basically, the quarterback, right? Because you figure at the end of last season, right? We got Slayton, right? Wandell and Malik. Well, who's quite possibly going to be our 3 starting wide receivers this year? Quite possibly, right? Slayton, Wandell, Malik, right? I'd love to see some Cam in the backfield, but quite possibly he's going to be a starting running back. Tyrone Tracy Jr., right? Theo Johnson obviously did not make it to the end of the season because, surprise, he got injured, right? But he was the starting tight end for the Giants. Well, quite possibly. Oh, we're going to put a little caveat in there, right? tight end. I got a little something to talk about here in a few minutes about tight ends. But quite possibly, who's going to better start tight end this season? In the beginning of the season, well, Theo Johnson. And of course, you got, who's our left tackle? Well, of course, Andrew Thomas. Of course, he didn't make it to the end of the season because hard to believe. I'm shocked about it just as much as you are. He got injured. Hard to believe, right? Of course, John Runyon Jr., right? Of course, he had some injury too. Shocking. But he's going to be our starting left tackle. John Michael Schmitz, center. Now, the one thing is the quarterback. Obviously, the quarterback's going to be different, unless somehow we wind up trading back for Daniel Jones. Don't think that's happening. But then if you look at the offensive line, like the right guard and the right tackle. Now, you got quite possibly Lou Minor, right, or Marcus Bowe, right, at the right tackle position. Now, Bowe can beat out Lou Minor. Okay, cool. But if the old veteran can win back his job, right, I guess Lou Minor wasn't necessarily the starting right tackle at the end of last season because he had to go over to the left side to fill the void of Andrew Thomas, right? But Lou Minor was the starting right tackle. So he might be the starting right tackle this year, right? Then, of course, we have the plethora of right guards. I don't know what they plan on doing with the Zudu, but maybe they get Zudu, try him at guard. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But you got Kubas, Stinney, right? GVR, and Evan Neal. Now, if somehow GVR winds up winning out on that competition, we might even have the same offensive line as we did last year, right? So, this is a big, gamble. It's like, they stunk last year, so let's bring everybody back again, right? What are your thoughts on Daniel Bellinger? Well, I'll tell you what, but, really, his rookie season, it was like, I'm not saying we have an all-pro here or a Hall of Famer or nothing, but it's like, he's doing all right, okay, and hopefully if he keeps getting better and better and better, gets on that, you usually want the guys to get better, right? But the 1 year, of course, Waller was here. Of course, that obviously, you trade for Waller. Waller's a starting tight end, so. But even last year, he knows every year he's been with the team, he's been with Daboll, so he knows the offense. But last year, Johnson was in there. Johnson nudged him out. They kind of abandoned him. Yeah, sometimes it's like, what the hell? Yeah, you're never going to know. Yeah, you never. Somebody could ask Daboll or something, but you're never going to get the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Yeah, you ain't never going to get that. But it's just kind of weird. It's like, what happened to the guy? He got injured really bad. Got poked in the eye and all that stuff. And did that hurt him? Or it's like, if you remember, he came back the second year and somebody took a picture of him. His bicep was like about 35 inches around. He had, Bellinger bicep or whatever. He was looking huge and all that stuff and everything, but it just one of those things. I don't know. It's just what the hell happened to the guy. Don't know. But we're going to be talking a little bit about tight ends in a little bit here. It's something I keep reading. But anyway, you think of the Giants, they're bringing back almost the whole offense that they had last year. Now, if you look on defense, right, of course, we'll have a few different changes, of course, with Holland in there, Debo in there. Got some guy by named Abdul Carter. He might get a few reps this year, too. Alexander, right? See, he was looking, yeah. He posted, thank you. My name is Pat. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. But, with, and I'm going to be talking about edge rushers here in a little while too. But, you figure we got Banks. Now he's not the first cornerback number one anymore, but he's cornerback number two. We got Phillips, right? Of course, we got Newman coming back. Of course, he didn't finish the season. He was injured, but you got McFadden, you got a Karake, you got Sexy Dexy, you got Brian Burns, you got Kayvon Tibbet. So we got a lot of the defense coming back. So, I mean, the Giants, this short article here, but they're putting, so the Giants have made a surprising 2025 bet. They're pushing the chips in the middle of the table instead of a massive turnover, which you would expect quite a bit. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, usually it's like, man, we suck. This team we got here sucks. So let's keep them all. All right. Does that make much sense? Now, usually it's like, let's get rid of half the guys. And if things are really that bad, let's get rid of the coaching staff, the GM, let's get rid of let's start it all over again. But that's not what happened with the Giants here. Instead of a massive turnover, the Giants have the league's most stable. Does that make sense? Starting lineup entering the season. That's crazy. When a team goes through a 3-14 season, that is usually followed by a heavy roster turnover, right? I mean, with 3-14, let's keep everybody. The one thing you got to say, I love, obviously, was the quarterback play, injuries, and also we're young, very young team too. So sometimes with young players, you're going to go through some lumps, right? But the one thing I do like about it is we are a young team. Young team. That's very exciting. So usually there's a heavy roster turnover, even if the general manager and the head coach stay in place. Giants, though, are making a different type of bet. Joe Schoen insisted last season that the Giants weren't far off, despite results on the field screaming otherwise. Schoen and head coach Brian Daboll pointed to the lack of consistent, capable quarterback play as the biggest reason, as the offense finished 30th and 31st in the NFL the past two seasons. Rather than strip down a defense, owner John Mara was clearly tired of watching at the end of last season and starting over. But Mr. Mara was also sick and tired, too, of watching the other teams walk up and down the field on the Giants' defense. He did say that, too. Shane and the Giants chose to stay with defensive coordinator Shane Bowen and add pieces to fortify the group. Now, honestly, just my eyes, though, honestly, as much as Daboll's seat is hot, maybe Shane's seat is hot, let's just step back here, too. At the end of the season, if we stink once again, Mr. Mara's got to sit back and instead of just taking everybody and throwing them in the dumpster, it's like, well, did Daboll do all he could do? With the roster that we have, right? And it's also kind of like, well, did Shane supply Daboll with enough capable players to have a winning season or to do better than what we did? So those guys, they're it's not like just take everybody, get rid of everybody. They're their own corporations, shall we say, right? So they're not so tied together as we might once think. But also another thing is that Shane Bowen, his seat has got to be very, very hot. I mean, if we don't get some good results with this defense, I'm sure we can bring somebody else in here who can. I mean, Bobby Okereke also, he mentioned too, he said usually it's helpful being in a defense for the second season as well, too. So this will be a second season with the Bowen defense, right? Yeah. So hopefully that'll help Mr. Karake. But I'll tell you what, if Bowen can't find, if we can't, there's got to also be a happy medium, too. I mean, it's if the offense goes 1-2-3 punt, 1-2-3 punt, 1-2-3 punt, and the defense got to keep running on the field, after a while, the defense gets tired. I mean, it is what it is. But, for the most part, if our offense can do something, right, more than what we did last year, I mean, this defense should really, really be good. Really, I'm not saying that. So I don't want to say top 5. We're not the best defense, but we better be in the top half. I mean, if Bowen can't get this defense in the top half, bye. We'll get somebody in here who can. I mean, when the offense was abysmal, the defense just checked it. Oh yeah. I mean, it's they give it their all, and they just sit back and watch it. They can't. Half the time they probably couldn't even sit down. They run off to the field. They take their helmet off, put their helmet down. They grab a thing of Kool-Aid or whatever, and they turn around, and the offense is ran their third play, and they're now to run it off the field because they got that because they have to punt. It's like, oh yeah, it's yeah. You don't want the the offense and the defense going at it, but I mean, what some of those defensive players must be thinking is, I'd be pretty pissed off if I was some of them. It says here, a study from Jason Fitzgerald of Over the Cap points out just how much the Giants have doubled down on their belief a complete restart wasn't necessary after the 2024 season. Fitzgerald shows that the Giants, with 90.3% of their 2024 starters returning, which is the most in the NFL. Wow. Fitzgerald writes, that number is amazing considering how bad the team was last year. They have all of their players on offense returning, though Daniel Jones did not count at the end of the year, so he was a switch. And they ranked 10th in returning players on defense. Because we're going to have a few guys, obviously, with Holland, right, Debo, right. We're not sure who the starting tackle is going to be next to Sexy. Right? We don't even know if Nacho's even going to make the team, or he might become a cap casualty. Let's see. Of course, some guy by the name of Abdul Carter's got to find some time on the field. So there are going to be some switches on the defense, that's for sure. But the Giants are clearly banking on the quarterback being the main problem from last year, and that better play will keep the team from spiraling. By comparison now, the Titans, who had the number 1 overall pick in the draft, return a league-low 56.7% of their 2024 starters. So basically, the Giants returning 90% of their starters. Meanwhile, the Titans have about half of their starters returning. Giants have 90%. The Titans have 56%. That's a lot of what you usually kind of think of, right? If the team stinks, it's like, well, why do we want to keep these same players? They stink. In terms of overall rate of return, the Giants rank 9th with 76.8% of their players return. Per Fitzgerald, league averages is a 71.4 return rate. So the Giants, returning 76.8% of their players. While going 3-14 last year, the Giants were 2-9 in games decided by 10 points or less. They couldn't find ways to win the big one, the close ones. Offensively, the Giants are clearly banking on Russell Wilson and Jameson Winston and Jackson Dart to make a difference in some of those close games. Giants did lose 5 games by more than 20 points last year. They're also banking on defensive upgrades with Carter, Holland, Adebo, and Darius Alexander to make sure fewer games get out of hand. We will see in a few months if Shane and Daboll have made the right bet. Yeah, well, yes, we will. But I mean, that's a heck of a gamble that we saw last season. The offense was, yeah. So that is a heck of a bet. Well, we'll have to wait and see. Certainly hope they're right. But I mean, this is kind of shocking. Yeah. You really think about it. Now, one of the things is that, obviously, the Giants, in the beginning, the first 5 games or so, 5-6 weeks, the Giants were not too bad, of course. And once Andrew Thomas got hurt, then the wheels fell off and everything went into the toilet, right? Giants had all those different offensive line configurations, and I think they were tied for the league lead with 10, which is just absolutely horrible, right? But there's nothing you can do. If the guys get injured, the guys wind up getting injured. Of course, it all started with Andrew Thomas. So, unfortunately, our best offensive lineman missed the most time last year. So, that's absolutely horrible. But Apparently, the Giants have one of the most expensive offensive lines in the league this season. I think they were ranked third. The Carolina Panthers were number one. Who the heck was number two? Let's see here. But the Giants, I think, ranked third. Giants will have one of the most expensive offensive lines in 2025. Giants carry one of the most expensive offensive line units heading into the season. But does the price tag match the quality of the production? Nope. So far, it's probably fair to say that the Giants' offensive line has failed to live up to their hefty price tag. According to Warren Sharp of Sharp Football Analysis, the Giants will be paying their offensive line unit $67.7 million this season, the third most in the league. They trail the Chiefs and the Panthers, ranked 7th and 8th respective by Pro Football Focus. The Giants, meanwhile, finished 23rd in the PFF rankings as a unit. The line in 2024 allowed 215 pressures, 45 quarterback hits, and allowed 48 sacks last season. But let's not forget, how many sacks did we give up the year before, right? So to give up, I don't want to say only 48 because that's still a hefty number. If you can get that down to the 30s, that's really good. But I mean, what they gave up in 2023 compared to what they gave up in 2024 was huge, and they still had all those injuries. But the Giants also ranked 26th in pass block win rate and 27th in run block win rate. Their pressure rate overall this past season was 28th in the league, despite the quarterback releasing the ball at an average of 2.76 seconds. So now this is funny. This is the most expensive offensive lines in 2025. The Panthers, $95.3 million, almost $100 million they're dishing out to their offensive line. The Chiefs are second, 81.5. The Giants are third, 67.7. Then you got the Bears, the Vikings, the Lions, the Broncos, Commanders, the Chargers, and the Titans are number 10. The Eagles come in at number 12. They have $55.8 million, which you're paying. But the Giants are paying third most. To be fair, last season, the Giants' offensive line had injury issues. Left tackle Andrew Thomas saw his season end prematurely due to a foot injury. Center John Michael Schmitz missed a couple of games. Left guard John Runyon Jr. had his season cut short thanks to a shoulder issue. Jermaine Illuminor, the team's right tackle, missed a handful of games as well. And, of course, then he went from right tackle over to left tackle, right? Those injuries, however, highlighted an ongoing problem for the Giants, an inability to consistently draft and develop offensive line talent. This has, in turn, forced the Giants, who have spent the 7th most draft capital on the offensive line since 2022, to lean heavily on veteran players, which in turn inflates the unit's cost. Right? See, per Warren Sharp, the Bengals have one of the biggest declines in offensive line spending in the NFL at this point in the season. Last year, their combined offensive line cap that was number 11th highest in the NFL. This year, their offensive line spending ranks 27th in the league. Wow. It's worth looking at draft capital spent on the offensive line since 2022. Last 3 years, all these players on rookie deals in 2025. So the Giants, looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. Giants have spent the most total capital used to draft offensive line since 2022. The Giants are 7th. So the Giants have, especially let's not forget, right? Right. Shane and Daboll's first season, right? They drafted some offensive linemen, right? Actually, they almost drafted a whole offensive line their first season, right? We had Neal, McKeithen, Zudu, right? Then we had John Michael Schmitz, right? Didn't have any last year, but this year we took Marcus Bowe, right? So they've drafted, they drafted, at least I'm thinking of off the top of my head, at least 5 offensive linemen since 2022, right? Well, we drafted a center. We tried to draft, I guess, 2 tackles. Or we'll have to see with Bo. If he slides inside, can he be a tackle? We'll have to wait and see. But Zudu and McKeithen, I mean, they could have been guards. So we have drafted almost an entire full offensive line since 2022. One of the things the Giants have, one of the problems the Giants have had, I mean, just I don't know, a long time is, usually what you like to do with the offensive line is, you take a guy, right, and you think he is some capability to him, and you draft him later, 4th round, 5th round, whatever it is. We're going to get him. Is he a stone? Is he a starter day one? No. But he's got some capability to him. We think we can work with him. We think we can develop him, right? Get a guy, get him on the roster, develop him, and by the time his 2nd or 3rd season, he's plug and play, and he's off and running. Giants don't do that. Usually we got a guy in here, and a lot of times he's either good or he's just if you put him in there in the first year or so and he's no good, Giants ain't going to develop him. The thing that really bothers me a lot is a lot of times we'll get guys, we'll draft them. Of course, we don't want them, we don't develop them very well, but then we let them go. And then they go to other teams, and then they do very well, right? Like Matt Parrott. Last season, he was with the Broncos, and he signed a 2-year deal, an extension, 2-year extension with the Broncos. Broncos found room for him. Then the Broncos did pretty good last year, right? I don't remember exactly how many snaps all that Parrott had, but we let him go, right? And some other team picked him up, and he's doing pretty good with another team. It happens all the time. We don't develop our offensive linemen. Really, really bad. Really, really bad. This offseason, the Giants signed tackles Stone Forsythe to a $1.3 million. Actually, these are the swing tackles, right? James Hudson III, a 2-year, $12 million deal as depth pieces in free agency. They brought back GVR, Aaron Stinney, and will attempt to convert tackle Evan Neal to a guard, as well as continue developing 2nd-year interior man Jake Kubas. Now, they have some high hopes for Mr. Kubas. Let's hope we can continue to develop him, right? Big problem for the Giants has been their inability to select and develop quality offensive linemen for the future. We just can't do that. Why can't we develop? I'm not saying we got to get a guy in the 5th. I mean, if you look, I mean, I don't know what it is because I don't pay attention to all that. But if you look, when you start offensive lines throughout the league, there's got to be, I don't know how many, like undrafted free agents, 7th round, 5th round, 6th round picks that are quality starters. I'm not saying we got to have Hall of Famers, quality starters. Right. So, but the Giants don't do is they don't draft guys later in the draft, right, 5th round, 6th round, whatever, and develop them. We just don't do that. Since becoming general manager in 2022, Shane drafted 4 offensive linemen. I guess they're not including Marcus Bowe, I guess. I don't know. Maybe they're not including Marcus Bowe. Whatever. Because as far as I know, they drafted Neal, Azudu, McKeithen, Schmitz, and Bowe. But anyway. Of those, Schmidt still projects as a starter, though he hasn't quite lived up to the expectations of being a 2nd-round draft pick. Nope. He ranks 18th out of 23 starting centers. You take a center in the 2nd round, you kind of hoping the guy ranks better than 18th. Let's see. And he ranks 22nd in pass blocking out of 23 starting centers. Who played at least 900 offensive snaps last season. Right? So apparently there were 23 starting centers last season who had at least 900 offensive snaps. He was 20 out of his 23 starting centers. He was 22nd in pass blocking. And we drafted a guy in the 2nd round. The hope is that Carmen Basillo, hired last season as the team's offensive line coach, can get the unit caught up, not just in terms of the veterans' performances, but also in developing any young talent the team picks up and takes in this summer training camp. Yeah, I mean, if we could do that, man, that would be huge. That would be absolutely huge. I mean, if we could just develop some guys, but not only so much development, also develop our own guys that we're drafting. Right? I mean, you take Zudo in the 3rd round. I mean, you got visions as this guy being a starter. Right? I mean, even McKeithen in the 5th round. Well, we couldn't develop him, I guess. No, yeah. Really? Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, we're just doing a horrible, horrible job with the offensive line. And it's such a shame because you draft these offensive linemen and you kind of hope that these guys can be the, your foundation for your offensive line going forward. That is what says in that article is that, when you swing and miss on these offensive lines in the draft, then you got to go out and get, the nice thing about, for the most part, about getting free agents is that they have a body of work. You can look at it. This guy's been in the league for 5 years. He's not too bad. He's pretty good. Well, then, it's going to cost you. Right? So, but that's the problem about going with the free agency route. And with any position, obviously, we're also, no doubt, offensive line. Right? The guys, John Munyon Jr. and, guys like that, they come in, they got some good quality work. Right? Right, good quality body of work that you can look at. Right, it's going to cost you some money. It shouldn't be coming down to that because we drafted basically since 2022. We drafted that whole offensive line. All right, now I've seen this one. This one's got me. Boy, I'll tell you what. Now apparently. Mr. Pitts, I guess he's maybe on the trading block here. I mean, he kind of thought like especially when he got drafted by the Falcons. Actually, it's gonna be. I tell you what, it's just time just flying by. It's hard. I thought he only played 3 seasons, but it's his 4th season he played already. So it's apparently be his 5th season. But possibly he might be on the trading block. I mean, the Giants could certainly use another weapon without question. I certainly don't want to say that, Theo Johnson is not going to be a weapon. I certainly don't want to say that, but the Giants really could. I mean, because if you look at Slayton, Wan'Dale Robinson, Malik Neighbors, and Theo Johnson, it's like, okay, they're nice. I mean, we got Malik. We got the dog. I'm saying, but if you look at Slayton, Wan'Dale Robinson, and Theo Johnson, it's like, okay, it's all right, not bad, But if we can get somebody else in there too, that would be very nice. Now, Pitts' first season, the only thing, I'm going to look back at his stats again. I think I remember he only caught 1 touchdown pass. He has 10 in his 4 years. That's still, when you draft a guy that high, I mean, but he had 68 catches his first season as a rookie, and he had over 1,000 yards. But since then, he hasn't really missed much time, but his production has really fallen off. I mean, let's see where we at here. Where's Mr. Pitts at here? All right, where are we at here? The 2021 draft. When you're taking number 4 overall, I mean, his second season in 2022, he only played in 10 games. I think he had a knee issue, I think it was. Let me see. Where are we at here? 2022. He was on injured list. A knee. Yeah, MCL. Yeah, so he missed 7 games his second season. But his first season, played in all 17 games. His third and fourth season, he played in all 17 games. So he only missed. So he's relatively healthy. he has been relatively healthy. He just missed 7 games in his second season. Other than that, has not missed a game. So at 17, 34, so out of 68 possible games, he's played in 61. So he's been pretty good. As I said, it was just that one season where he missed some time. But, I mean, like last season, he had 47 catches. He played 17 games. He was the number 4 overall pick. And he's averaging 7. He didn't even average 3 catches a game last season. I mean, the year before that, 2023, he played in 17 games. He had 53 receptions. So that's just about 3 catches a game. I mean, 2022, when he only played in 10 games, he caught 28 balls. So he averaged 2.8 receptions. I mean, so basically the last 3 years, he's averaging like 3 catches. I mean, it's just, you take him number 4 overall. I mean, you're not drafting this guy to catch 3 balls a game. I mean, that's really, really bad. But the one thing is here, okay, they picked up his 5th-year option, right, which is $10.878 million, almost $10.9 million, which is his 5th-year option. Okay. So his whole rookie deal is over except for his 5th-year option. So now apparently, he might be on the trading block. So Kyle Pitt landing spots. The Cowboys, the Giants, among potential 2025 fits, with Falcons reportedly open to trading the tight end. Where could the former Pro Bowler end up? Now, former Pro Bowler, that was just his first season. Because I do not think he made the Pro Bowl. No, that was just his first season. Yeah. So where might he wind up at? Well, Kyle Pitt's saga took another turn on Friday, with the Falcons reportedly making the big-name tight end available via trade, just 4 years after spending the number 4 overall draft pick on the Florida Star. He's 6'6". It's almost like 250 pounds. Perfect size. Whew. The Falcons prefer to keep the veteran, but are apparently willing to listen to offers, requiring at least a day 2 draft pick in the potential deal. Multiple teams have already contacted the Falcons with interest, Schultz reported, after Pitts failed to report to the start of Atlanta's voluntary organized team activities, along with quarterback Kirk Cousins, who is another trade candidate. Pitts, he's only 24, has endured a somewhat tumultuous start to his NFL career. Heralded as a future face of the tight end position coming out of college, he had an instant impact as a rookie, logging 68 catches for 1,068 yards as Matt Ryan's top target in 2021. He became much more of a secondary option in the pass-catching group starting the following year, however, leading to speculations about his fit under the Falcons coaches. Where might Pitts be headed? If he doesn't suit up for the Falcons in 2025, here are 3 potential landing spots for the veteran who's set to enter the final year of his rookie contract. So that's another thing that they're going to have to keep in, really going to have to keep in mind. Because if you do go out and trade for this guy, right, you're going to have to re-sign him. I mean, that was like the same thing, the Leonard Williams saga. We went out in the middle of the season and traded for Leonard Williams to bring him in. It's like, dude, you just traded some draft capital for this guy. You better re-sign him. Yeah. Right. So we're going to go out and bring in Kyle Pitts in here. Right. My good boy. You better have an inkling of re-signing him, next season. So, but apparently they got 3 teams here. One would be the Cowboys. Now, but the Cowboys do have Jake Ferguson, who is a very good tight end. Right. Apparently, the Cowboys still have $30 million to spare. As a bonus, Micah Parsons' brother suggested this deal for the Cowboys not long ago. Huh. So, I mean, this wouldn't, if the Cowboys have some money to spend, it may not be bad. It would certainly help out. Got Ferguson, right? They brought in, was it Pickens they brought in? Got ABCD Lamb, right? I mean, you bring in Pitt. I mean, that would give them a very nice, and Dak comes back. would certainly help them out. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, because they got more money than the Giants do. The Giants only have about $4 or $5 million now. But the one nice thing about this is that, it's like, let's make a deal, right? It could wind up being, I'm just saying, the Falcons want by at least a day 2 pick back. So they want at least a second rounder, quite possibly more, maybe like a third rounder, for Pitts. But the thing is, what you can do, right, is, hey, let's make a deal. We'll give you blah, blah, blah. We'll give you a third rounder, I don't know, whatever, and a fifth rounder, just saying, if you pay half of his salary this season, right? If we got to pay his whole salary, we'll just give you the third rounder or whatever. So you can always make some kind of a deal. But what Pitts' salary is this season is more than what the Giants, as of right now, without we can structuring some contracts and all that. Right. So the Giants would have to do something if they were to trade for Pitts and absorb his whole contract for this season. But I said that, they're going to have to go out and especially if they give up like a third round pick for this guy, you obviously you have to be signing a guy for next season, right? And then of course that's where that comes in at, what's he going to want, right? Because if he's going to want, I don't know, whatever, $15 million, just saying, and you're only thinking, well, this dude's only worth 10, we ain't paying him 15. Well, once he becomes a free agent, it only takes one team to blow him out of the water with money, and then bye-bye, you just lost yourself a third-round pick, right? What you could do, obviously, you maybe bring him in and sign him to an extension or something like that right away so he never hits free agency. But they also talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars, possibly. This one might be high on Pitts' wish list, given he has spent 3 years playing for the Gators, right, in Florida, just over an hour away from where the Jaguars take the field. Yes, Jacksonville spent big to add to Travis Hunter as a new weapon for Trevor Lawrence in the draft, but new general manager James Gladstone might still have an interest in replacing Evan Ingram, who was released in March. Pitt's positional versatility could give the Jaguars a new look big three, along with Brian Burns Jr., increasing Lawrence's odds of a turnaround. So, all right. Then they talk about the New York Giants. Are the Giants in a position to pay for immediate help? They might be short on salary cap space, but Pitts' appeal at only age 24. He's been only 24, 6'6". It's almost 250, right? 24 years old, relatively healthy, right? Is that he could also stick around for the long term too. But the thing, it's not like, the one nice thing about obviously he's drafting somebody like Pitts, right? Is that, or drafting somebody is that you're paying them, not a lot of money because they're on their rookie deal. But once now they're become veterans, hey, they want to get paid. I don't blame them. So to bring him in, it's going to automatically just, start costing you some money. But they can always push some of that money a little bit down the road. We're going to talk a little bit more about the Giants' salary cap situation in just a few minutes here. But head coach Brian Daboll would surely be okay pairing the big man with Malik Neighbors, giving Russell Wilson an added safety valve for an offense sorely lacking secondary playmakers over the last few years, assuming this link up would extend beyond 2025. Pitt's arrival would also bode well for Jackson Dart, the presumptive quarterback of the future. That's true too. That's true too, right? I'm not exactly sure. You don't know what they're thinking about as far as what they're going to do with Theo Johnson, right, and all. But I mean, it's certainly something to think about, right? I would love. If they don't get themselves somebody this year, really, really need somebody next season, right? Whether it be in free agency or in the draft. Drafting maybe a wide receiver early, and obviously in day one or day two of the draft would be huge. Really get somebody. I love Darius. I love Wandale and all. Wandale had all those catches last season, which is great. The thing is, I don't even think he even averaged 8 yards of reception. Right? Darius Slayton last season, obviously, his numbers came down. Well, when you got like 300 targets going to Malik Neighbors and Wan'Dale Robinson. There's not a lot of targets left to go around. So obviously Darius Slayton's numbers took a dip last season, right? But as productive as Darius has been, for the most part, with a very poor offensive line, very poor quarterback play, horrible offense over all these years, Darius has been very, very steady, right? He's been very steady. But has he been somebody on the field that it's like, oh, like keeping the other defensive coordinator up at night? No. Giants really could use somebody like that. The problem is that, with the Pitts, or if we get somebody else maybe in free agency next season, the problem is that it's going to cost you some money, right? The Giants don't have a ton of money this season. We'll have a little bit of money next season, but we don't have a ton. 2 seasons. We're going to talk about this very shortly. We have a lot of money. But if we can draft ourselves a playmaker in the draft next season, first day or second day, man, that would be huge. Another playmaker to team up with Malik Neighbors. Somebody got Malik on one side, and you got somebody else on the other side, given that the defense got to worry about. Because the thing is, a lot of times, if Malik's over here, right? Well, you got maybe the cornerback, and he has a safety sliding over there, maybe over the top, right? Okay, but if you got somebody over here and you got somebody over there, so you have a cornerback, carrying them, and then you got safeties over the top of both those guys. Well, that kind of opens things up in the middle a little bit there, doesn't it? So the more weapons you're going to have, the better. I mean, that was one of the problems, is that I keep freaking talking about it and all that and everything. But with Barkley, I mean, we had one of the best running backs in the league. At the time, he was our best offensive weapon, and you just let him go. And the thing is, you let him go, and I talked about this before, but you let him go, and it's not like he's a quarterback. It's not like he's an edge rusher. It's not like he's a wide receiver. I mean, these wide receivers now, going to want $35, $40 million. These edge rushers, $40 million. Quarterbacks, $50, $60 million. Right? He wanted $15 million. I mean, I guess I get it. That's a bit much for a running back, but we got there's wide receivers out there making, I know the Eagles bumped up Saquon's salary. Good for him. But I mean, at the time when they signed him last season, what they were paying Saquon, there was wide receivers out there making more than twice as much money as what Saquon. Right? And he was our biggest weapon. I mean, could you imagine, I'm not saying we were going to a Super Bowl or something, but I mean, could you at least imagine if we had Malik Neighbors and Saquon? All right, now we got 2 really good weapons. Can we add a third, right? I mean, when you have a real good weapon like Saquon, and you just let him go, because you didn't want to pay him $14 million or whatever. I mean, as I said, if he was a wide receiver or something like that, and he wants $50 million, then you got to let him go because you can't afford it. Okay, well, he wanted $40 million. Well, okay, but I mean, 14, 15 million. Yeah, really? Your best offensive weapon? Wow. All right, I see this here. Jackson Dart holds the key for the Giants. Well, that's what the Giants are betting on. See this here. Where are we at here? There we go. All right. Old Jackson Dart. He's the key to the Giants catching the NFC East rivals. That's, I mean, the one of the biggest things, obviously, now, it's been for a long time, right, is that the Giants, especially when they predict, right, wins for the Giants, right, like Vegas, never predicts the Giants to have a lot of wins and all that stuff. There's always been a couple of constants, right? One of them has usually been Daniel Jones. Like Vegas or nobody else really thinks much highly of Daniel Jones. We've always had a not a very good offensive line, right? So usually those two things really, right, make it where the Giants don't get a lot of love, especially from PFF or Vegas or a lot of these beat writers, right? And one of the things that the Giants, have going to have a hard time, right, trying to, in the minds of and the eyes of all these other people, trying to catch the rest of the NFC is the quarterback play, right? I mean, you look at Jalen Hurts, right? I'm not super duper high on Jalen Hurts. Take Jalen Hurts and put him on the Giants. Let's see how good he is, right? He's surrounded by a fantastic team, right? But with Dak Prescott, and of course, Jaden Daniels, right? I mean, those guys are up here, and our quarterback play is usually down around here, right? So we got a ways to go to catch the rest of the guys in the NFC East. Giants picked Jackson Dart, but proving he's a franchise quarterback stands between them and the rest of the division. That's it. Giants fans have every right to be optimistic heading into 2025. Freed from the shackles of Daniel Jones. Giants improved at the most important position by signing quarterback Russell Wilson. Edge rusher Abdul Carter adds a third blue chip talent to the roster, and the team's floor feels much higher than yesteryear. However, a tough schedule, very tough schedule, dampens that optimism. And for all of its improvements, New York is still well behind its division rivals. The Giants' schedule is more difficult than their rivals because everybody else gets 2 games with an advantage under center. Yep. Wilson is an upgrade over Jones, DeVito, and Drew Lock. But the gap between Wilson and Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts, and Jaden Daniels for New York's 2025 hopes, that's all that matters. Subsequently, first-round rookie passer Jackson Dart is the key to the Giants catching their NFC East rivals. Signed to a $10.5 million deal, Wilson isn't meant to be the franchise quarterback. He's the bridge to Dart and a totally viable option for the assignment. That's not lost on anybody, but his presence is crucial. Dart is set for a redshirt season, or at least as much as New York can afford. Wilson alleviates that pressure and should win enough games to prevent a complete catastrophe. Jameis Winston signed a 2-year deal, ensures that even if Wilson goes down, Dart won't have to start until he's ready. Armed with a pair of veteran leaders, a quarterback guru and head coach, and one of the game's best young receivers, Dart is set for success. It's a matter of when, not if, he replaces Wilson. That's when the fun begins. Giants won't be favored to rise out of last place with Wilson under center. Currently, Dart isn't helping that mark either. But the path to catching the Cowboys, the Eagles, and the Commanders starts with having a quarterback capable of matching the stars competing atop the division. Nobody knows whether Dart can take that leap and end East Rutherford's struggles, but he's the chance the New York faithful have had in some time. And that's worth getting excited about, regardless of how fans felt ahead of the selection. So it's, you can obviously, as it says in this article here, you can bring in all these guys, right? Have a phenomenal defense. I mean, unless we beat everybody 2-0, right? You got to get some good quarterback play, right? Bring also Wilson in, certainly going to help. I love Jameis Winston, but I've said this 3,000 times. He'll throw you in a game. He'll also throw you out of a game, right? But he's going to sling that ball, right? We're going to get some excitement with Jameson, right? But that doesn't necessarily we're going to get some wins. But the key thing here is we got to find the franchise quarterback, right? And we've been going through this ever since 2019, and we won't know. Maybe we'll get a little glimpse of him. Don't know. Somewhere along the line this season, maybe if we're getting blown out in a game, hope not. But if we're losing like 30-7 with 10 minutes to go in the game, maybe they pull Wilson and put Dart in there. Who knows? Maybe if we wind up, I don't know. I hope not once again, but hopefully we start off 3-9 or something like that. Once again, I hope not. But 3-9. That's what 12's away the final 5 games of the season. Maybe put Dart in there because all those snaps would be invaluable to him. Now the thing is that obviously, of course, you always wind up going back and looking back at what happened with Eli, right? 2004 when we had Kurt Warner in there. Actually, we were 5-2 at one point that season. Then we lost 2 tough games on the road, and we went 5-4. So that was with 7 games left in the season, right? They pulled the plug. And we're 5-4. We still had a shot at the playoffs. Now, were we a good enough team to win a Super Bowl? Probably not. If you listen to Kurt Warner, he didn't think the Giants were a good enough team to win a Super Bowl that year. But could they have made the playoffs? Quite possibly. As I said, at one point we were 5-2. We lost 2 tough road games, and then we went to 5-4. And with a 5-4 and a winning record, they pulled the plug on the season and put in Eli Manning. Now he got totally annihilated his first 6 games. We went from 5-4 to 5-10. Actually, I mean, as horrible as it was, right? We lost 8 games in a row. We went from 5-2 to 5-10. Me and my son and I, we were at the last game of the season that year. They played the Cowboys. It was the last game of the season. It was a Sunday night game. I don't remember. It was January 2nd or 3rd or whatever it was, but it was the last game of the regular season. There was no back then. They didn't have where they can flip teams and stuff like that. We got 2 crappy teams on Sunday night. Let's move them to 1:00. We'll put some good teams on it. And they didn't do that back then. So it wound up being a great game. And you can start seeing where Eli was starting to coming into his own. Now I was at the first 6 games, like that Raven game. Oh my God. I think he had like a negative quarterback rate. I think it was like minus 57 or something. It was just unbelievable. It was painful to watch. But the Cowboys weren't very good either. After the game was over, the Cowboys and the Giants were both 6-10. So neither team was very good. But you can see the Giants, I think it was 24-21. I think it was, if I'm not mistaken. And the Giants got the ball, I don't know, 2 minutes to go, whatever it was, had the ball. And Eli trots on the field, and he marched them down the field. And what he did was the Giants got, I forgot what it was. It was 3rd down, maybe something like whatever it was. We were down around the 2-yard line or the 3-yard line. And I guess maybe he had a I'm sure it's on YouTube. But the nice thing was our seats were down around the goal line. So we were right down by that end zone when they scored the touchdown. But he went up to the line of scrimmage. He probably had a pass play on, and he checked out of it, right? And he called a draw play to Tiki, right? So he got the ball, draw play to Tiki, hole wide open. Tiki walks in the end zone for a touchdown. Giants, I think it was 28-24 when it went. So you could start seeing them. All those reps were valuable to him. Right. And you can start seeing, obviously, as time went on, he started getting better and better. And then, of course, the following season, we made the playoffs. Crazy as that was. So are the Giants willing to do something like that? We'll have to wait and see. Another thing you got to think about, too, is with Dart, right, is that this will probably, right, give possibly, right, maybe, unless we go like 1-16 or something like that. But this might give at least Daboll an extra season because he's got his quarterback. He's got the quarterback of the future for the Giants, right? So you don't want one and done with Daboll. Daboll drafts Dart, and then Daboll's gone. So it might give him an extra season, even if we're not doing super spectacular, because we got to see what Dart can do, right? So the thing is Daboll going to do what's best for the Giants, or is he going to do what's best for the Giants / Daboll, right? Meaning like, well, if Dart's not going to get a lot of reps this season, well, next season he's got to start. We need to see something from him next season. right? Because if we don't see something from Dart next season, boy, my job, I'm gone, right? So I'm going to need to see something. The Giants, Mr. Mara is going to need to see something from Dart, maybe not in 2025, but at least in 2026. So to see some really decent reps in 2026, he might have to get some reps in 2020 or as many as he can in 2025 to really help him out in 2026, right? So that's the same thing. So pulling the plug on this season somewhere along the line, we'll have to wait and see. I said it was just very gutsy, very, very good. Because that was Coughlin's first season, the pull up 5-4. A winning season, we had playoffs. 7 games ago, we were 5-4, and he pulled the plug on the season. So, but what Kurt Warner was talking about was true. Back in 2004, the Giants were not a Super Bowl team. Whether they went to the playoffs or not, they weren't going to a Super Bowl. Same thing with this year. So I'm not saying the Giants will be in a playoff position. That would be nice, but if we are in a playoff, the Giants are not a Super Bowl bound team. So would that be, could we revisit 2004 all over again? Interesting. As I said, it's very interesting to see what starts going on with Dart, because, the more reps he can get, obviously, the more it's going to help him out. Not so much this year, but next year and going forward. So very, very interesting. But it's talking about Dart, right? And building a team and all that stuff and everything. This, not so much next season, right? But 2 seasons. Giants are set up for an incredible cap situation. Now, obviously, we all know, right? One of the biggest things you can do is get that rookie quarterback in on his rookie deal, right? Right. That's when you start building a team around the rookie quarterback was on his rookie deal. So you got him for 5 years, right? So they're talking about having a credible cap situation in 2 seasons. So in 2 seasons, right, 2027, that would be Dart's 3rd year. We'd have him for a 4th year, and you can pick up his 5th year option. So you can start really bringing in some nice juicy pieces in 2 seasons. If you think Dart is all of that and a bag of chips, right? In 2 seasons, you can really maybe go out and do a little bit of a spending spree, right? Bring in a real couple of good players to help build around Dart, because you'd have him still on the relative cheap for another 3 years. So I got the Giants. I got an article here, but I got the Giants salary cap for 2 seasons, and whew, they got some money to spend. Let me tell you what. And let's also not forget, right? Now, maybe not so much all the guys, but in on the defensive side of the ball, right? The whole Giants secondary, we got him for 3 more years, right? We got Newman, we got him for 3 more years. We signed Holland for 3 seasons. We got Phillips, we got him for 3 more years. With Banks, if he starts stepping it up, right? This is his 3rd season. We got him for this season, be his 4th season, right? And we can pick up his 5th year option. So we could possibly have him for 3 more years. Then, of course, we got a Debo. We picked him up for 3 years. The whole secondary is here for 3 more years. On paper. Now, does it happen like that? Who knows? But on paper, we got a nice secondary for 3 more years. Of course, we got some guy by the name of Abdul Carter for 3 more years. Let's hope maybe we can sign McFadden. I would sign McFadden in a heartbeat, right? Pen to paper, extend him, right? Lock him up. We got Burnsy for another 3 years. We picked up Kayvon's 5th year option, so we got him this year. We got him next year, and if you pick up his 5th year option, you're kind of hoping you extend his contract. So maybe we might have Kayvon. We have Dexy. We got Darius Alexander for 4 years. So we got a lot of guys, especially on the defensive side, locked up for a few years. All right, where are we at here? But Giants have a chance at an unbelievable financial situation, which really winds up just perfect for them, especially if Dart is the man. Sometimes the best investments take time to mature, and the Giants are hoping that Jackson Dart is exactly that. He isn't expected to take over in 2025, but what he represents for the team's future is already paying dividends. Dart's arrival isn't just about talent. It's about financial freedom, long-term flexibility, and the opportunity to build something stable. A perfect contract for a cap-conscious team. On Friday, the Giants officially inked their rookie quarterback to a 4-year, $17 million fully guaranteed contract. That number becomes even more attractive when you consider how his deal averages just $4.25 million annually. And even if you pick up his fifth-year option, it's still going to be a bargain. For a potential future starter at the most important position in sports, which is true, that's a steal compared to the market rate. Oh, my goodness. $4.25 million. Dart's fifth-year option will give the Giants flexibility, but more important, it opens up a competitive window in 2026 and beyond. Having a starting quarterback on a rookie deal is one of the NFL's greatest economic advantages when it's executed properly. The value of a redshirt year. Despite the hype around his arm talent and mobility, Dart is expected to take the 2025 season as a developmental year. He'll sit behind veterans Russell Wilson and Jameson Winston, absorbing lessons and building confidence under Brian Daboll's guidance. It's a slow-cooking recipe. But the Giants want Dart fully seasoned. Fully seasoned before they put him in front of a media grill in New York. Throwing a raw quarterback into a hostile environment rarely ends well, especially for a franchise that's been craving consistency. They will deploy a tailored process preparing Dart for what could be a surprise debut later this season, if the opportunity rises. A loaded roster and future cap flexibility. With recent signings like Javon Holland and Paulson Adebo, the Giants made major splashes this offseason to fortify their defense. Those two contracts alone approach $100 million combined. And I think it's worth every freaking penny of it. But the front office has still kept future cap numbers in check, unlike the Eagles. 2026, the team is expected to have around $13.8 million in cap space. But in 2027 is when the real magic can happen. That's when Dart will still be on his rookie deal, but the team could aggressively add veteran support around him to make a run. They can afford to sign premier talent at other positions like cornerback, receiver, pass rusher without worrying about quarterback costs. The high-stakes balancing act begins. All of this hinges on one thing, Dart developing into a legitimate franchise quarterback who can win in the biggest moments. That's true. All this stuff goes for naught if he can't. So, the Giants have created the financial conditions for success, but human element still matters more than the numbers. He'll need to embrace New York's pressure, navigate rookie mistakes, and carry the expectations of a demanding fan base. But if he can get it right, the Giants may have built the kind of foundation every modern team dreams of. Now, in 2027, as of right now, because things are going to change. The Giants might have to, reconstruct, figure a few guys' contracts. Next season we bring in a couple free agents and we add more contracts onto the books. All that. This could change, but as of right now, according to Spot Track, in 2027, the Giants have $161 million in cap space. The Giants have, let's see here, let's see what do we got now. What do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 18, 21, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. Now, like 32 players on the contract. So we're still going to need a lot of guys. But, you figure the Giants have, as I said, in 2027, 32 guys, 31, 32 guys under contract. So we're going to obviously need a lot more. But you figure the next two seasons, 26 and 27, we got a draft class. We're going to bring those guys in, right? Add those guys to the roster. So between the two draft classes, we're going to have well over 40 guys on the roster signed. But we're still going to have a lot of money to spend. A lot of money. We should have well over $100 million or around $100 million as of right now. As I said, you're taking the draft class into account and all that stuff. Right? We should have a lot of money in 2027 to spend. And I said, if Dart proves that he's that guy, right, you can go out into the free agent market and bring in, I'm just saying. Right? If Jamar Chase is there, once again, just saying. I'm not saying, right? Yeah, and he wants 40 million, 45 million. Okay, yes, please. Malik Neighbors and Jamar Chase. Right? We'll get another edge rusher in here or some, one of those positions that cost a lot of money, right? I mean, right? We can bring in a few. If we have a hole in the offensive line, if a good offensive lineman hits the free agent market, bring him in, right? We should have some money to spend. But that's the huge thing, right? About getting a quarterback on his rookie deal. The time is to build around him, right? And take advantage of that money because once again, as we've seen time and time again, once that rookie deal's over and he's gonna want $50-60 million a year or whatever, right? So you start saying bye-bye to a lot of you good players. So the time to do it is now. But of course, all of this goes for naught if Jackson Dart is not the real thing. So, but as of right now, at least we have a glimmer of hope, right? We don't know if he can, we don't know if he can't, we don't know, but we still have some hope. It's a lot better right now having Jackson Dart looking with us, looking toward the future than having Daniel Jones, right? So, now this one here, Mr. Cordell Flott, Mr. Cordell, I weigh 112 pounds, soaking wet Flott. Now, he didn't do too bad last season. Will he get a second contract? We'll have to wait and see. I mean, certainly, worst comes worst. Very, very good with depth, right? I said he didn't do too bad last season. Where are we at here? Make or break for Cordell Flott. Can he become a long-term piece for the secondary? Will Flott earn a second contract? Because you figure, if somebody gets injured, I don't want to say I hope not. Of course, we're talking the Giants. Somebody's going to get injured, of course. But if somebody obviously one of the cornerbacks, what I'm getting saying, he might be the first one off the bench, right? But he's been here for a while. Right. The Giants have invested heavily in their defense over the last couple of years. And the other thing with Flott is that, he's not a cornerback that's going to want $18 million a year either. Right. Have some good quality depth at a reasonable price. Right. They've added high draft picks and talented free agents to try to turn their unit into one of the best in the NFL. Giants defense has had good players for years now. However, it's also been top heavy with little depth behind their starters, which is true too. Sometimes you're only as good as your guys on the bench. The secondary was always one of the biggest concerns, and depth can be key. Not only have the Giants been thin on the back end, but the secondary always has to deal with attrition over the course of the year, which is true. That makes 2022 third-round pick Cordell Flott of keen interest as he enters his fourth year. Flott was never a consistent starter through his first 2 years of his career, but did start 10 out of 14 games last season. He's unlikely to push for a starting job in 2025 after the addition of Paulson Adebo and the emergence of Drew Phillips. However, he could still be an important depth piece who sees plenty of playing time in sub packages or in the event of an injury. So, absolutely. Because of that, Flott taking the next step in his development would be an absolute boon to the Giants. And if he doesn't, he could find himself looking for a new home in 2026. Now, these are some of the reasons why he'll make it. The biggest factor in Flott's potential success is the improvement he showed over the course of 2024, which he did. Now, I don't know if it's with Bowen's defense that really helped him. This year, Flott's busiest to date with him playing 637 snaps, which is 73.8% of the total defense. So he played almost 3/4 of the snaps last year. Thanks to the Giants' depth issues in the secondary, the overwhelming majority of those snaps came on the outside as opposed to the slot. Flott played just 50 snaps in the slot, as opposed to 578 on the outside, a full game more than 505 total snaps in 2023. He certainly had his struggles, of course, over those snaps, but the extra work may have been good for him. For instance, Flott showed growth in the mental and technique aspects of his game over the course of 2024. He struggled some with missed tackles to start the season with 5 missed tackles in his first 8 games. However, those 5 were the only missed tackles all year, and he didn't have a single missed tackle after week 8. Very impressive, which is one of the problems the Giants have had for a while, missed tackles. By the end of the year, his 8.6% missed tackle rate was significantly lower than the Giants' 13.3%. Flott has always had a good closing burst, but his choice of angles is improving as well. His coverage and passer rating against also improved over the course of the year. Using week 8 as the dividing line, we see a stark shift in Flott's completion percentage allowed. Prior to week 8, he allowed 73% of his passes thrown his way to be completed, which dropped to 57.9% after week 8, which is very impressive. Part of the difference comes down to how Flott was used, and the Giants switched to more aggressive scheming after the injury of Dexter Lawrence. The other part of Flott is improving, and it's how he reads quarterbacks' eyes and tracks the ball off from coverage. He is still better in man than in zone, and off man seems to be his greatest strength. You'll have to see how the Giants, the defense changes, that helps them or not. But then they have the thing of why he won't make it. The first and most notable issue is Flott's game is one he can't do much about. Flott is whip thin and is still listed at 175 pounds despite being 6'2". That's thin. Whew. That can make it difficult for him to get bigger defenders on the ground even if he does tackle with excellent form. While he was a relatively secure tackle who didn't outright miss often, limiting yards after contact is an issue. Flott simply doesn't have much stopping power and needs to take very good angles and make sure he wraps up every time. If he arrives high or doesn't wrap up, even average-sized receivers can survive his tackling attempts. Yep. He was a thorn in Brandon Cook's side both times the Giants played the Cowboys last year, and Flott largely had Cooks locked down. Flott's aggression and toughness can also work against him when he's matched up against smart, savvy route runners. Flott is at the bottom. Let's see here. Oh, the question as to whether can Flott make it and be a useful piece for the Giants really depends on the expectations for him. If someone is expecting Flott to be a every down starter, let alone a shutdown corner, then they're about to be disappointed. He flashes the ability to be disruptive at the catch point thanks to his quickness and length, but he likely never will be a consistent problem for offenses. Now, one of the things you think about, well, if he just puts on some weight, which is true, but that can also, can possibly also be a negative because if it starts slowing him down. But he certainly could use some extra weight. My goodness. He's limited by his frame, and his aggressive game can be used against him by savvy opponents. That said, Flott's versatility to play outside or in the slot are useful, as is his ability to be disruptive when playing off man. He'll need to continue to work on his tackling techniques as well as his discipline in not biting on fakes or misdirections when in zone coverage. Flott can cement himself as a primary depth piece and an option that coaches feel good about in the absence of the starter if he takes the next step in those areas. Doing so could remove cornerback from the Giants' list of needs for several years. As I said, because we got a Debo, we got Phillips, and we got Banks, right, for a couple of years, right? And if we can add Flott in there, you can always use some depth. We also have Trey Hawkins. We have some cornerbacks, right? But we got the starters. Do we have some quality depth? That'd be huge. But while Flott might not need an upgrade if he can't take the next step, he also won't prevent the Giants from adding another cornerback who can force him off the roster, which is true. But the thing is that we certainly, without question, could always use some good depth in the cornerback position, without question. Now, is he like unbelievable? Amazing. Is he going to be an All-Pro? Is he going to be? No, of course not. But if you can get him at the right price, going for an additional couple of years, you have some decent depth. Right? And I said on the Bowen's system last year, what they said in that article, the last half of last season, he did pretty good. He only gave a 57% completion percentage, balls thrown his way. That's pretty darn good. So I said, if the price is right next year, right, maybe we can get him on the cheap in free agency. That would be really, really good. So not so much as a starter, but some good quality depth. Really, really be good. Now, here, with this here, you gotta, one of the problems the Giants have had, it's not so much necessarily speed, maybe to get down the field, right? Because we got Slayton, we've had Hyatt, right? Now we got Neighbors and all that. But one of the things, obviously, is when the quarterback drops back to pass, does the offensive line hold up? Can the quarterback stand in the pocket for 2 seconds? Because you look at it, right? In a 40-yard dash, right? Guys run 4.40s or whatever like that. So you figure if the quarterback gets the ball and drops back, right, stands in the pocket for 2 seconds before he throws the ball. The wide receiver can get maybe 20 yards downfield. So we're going to throw the ball down deep. Obviously, you get a nice arc on the ball, right, up high, not have it drop down, right? Obviously the wide receiver can run underneath it, but you got to have at least a couple seconds in the pocket where you're not getting annihilated. Can the offensive line hold up? Right? If it can, well, then quite possibly Mr. Wilson, right, might come in handy. He's very good at throwing the ball deep. Very good. Russell Wilson electrifies the Giants fans with a stunning 90% accuracy rating and deep throws. All right. In the high-stakes world of the NFL, where every pass and play can define a season, Russell Wilson's arrival to the Giants heralds a new era of precision and potential. Last season, Wilson distinguished himself as one of the league's most accurate quarterbacks, a testament to his skill and a beacon of hope for the Giants fans everywhere. With an astonishing 90% accuracy rating, Wilson's prowess in delivering catchable balls places him in the pinnacle of the NFL signal callers, a position that not only highlights his exceptional talent, but also promises an electrifying future for the Giants. Well, I don't want to get too excited about his exciting future and all that, because we only got him for 1 year. But anyway, Wilson's remarkable 90% accuracy rating is not just a number, it's a statement. It places him in the elite company of quarterbacks like Jaden Daniels of Washington, Buffalo's Josh Allen. However, Wilson's ability to combine this accuracy with deep throws sets him apart. With an average depth of target of just over 8 yards, Wilson demonstrates a unique blend of position and precision and power, making him a formidable force on the field. The comparison between Wilson and the Giants' backup quarterback, Jameis Winston, further underscores Wilson's exceptional abilities. Winston, with an accuracy rating around 81% and an average depth of target of just over 9 yards, shows that while he can launch the ball downfield, his precision doesn't quite match up to Wilson's. This contrast not only highlights Wilson's skill, but also emphasizes the strategic depth the Giants have at their disposal, offering different styles of play depending on the quarterback's great demands. Russell Wilson's integration into the Giants is more than just a change of roster. It's a transformation in how the game is played. His ability to maintain high accuracy while not shying away from deep throws could redefine a team's offensive strategy, making them unpredictable and more dangerous to their opponents. For Giants fans, Wilson's presence brings a renewed sense of optimism, as his track record suggests, the potential for breathtaking plays and hopefully a winning season. Wow. As the new NFL season approaches, all eyes will be on Russell Wilson and the Giants. Wilson's proven accuracy and strategic depth throws have set a high bar, not just for himself, but for the team as a whole. Giants' success will depend on how well they can leverage Wilson's strength and integrate them into their overall game plan. For fans and analysts alike, the anticipation is palpable, as Wilson's performance could very well dictate the team's future in the upcoming season. In the end, Wilson's move to the Giants isn't just a transfer, it's a seismic shift that could alter the landscape of the NFL. I think you're getting a little carried away here in this article. His exceptional accuracy and penchant for deep throws offers a glimpse into a thrilling season ahead. Filled with the promise of innovation, excitement, and hopefully triumph, as Wilson settles into his role, the Giants and their fans stand on the brink of a potentially game-changing era. Well, whoever wrote this, I think, was hitting the crack pipe a little too much. But, right, 90% accuracy rate on deep throws, and that's one thing that you always talk about it here and all that, the percentage, right? If you give a play of like 15 to 20 yards in a drive, the chances of you scoring a touchdown on that particular drive goes up dramatically. I mean, it's so difficult, right? Okay, the Giants run on the field. It's first down, first and 10 at their own 20. Well, they pick up 5 yards. They pick up 4 yards. They pick up 3 yards. First down. They pick up 4 yards. They pick up 4 yards. They pick up 6 yards. First down. Pick up 7 yards. They lose 2 yards. They pick up 6 yards. First down. They pick up 8 yards. They lose 4 yards. They pick up 7 yards. First down. I mean, it's first. It's 10 yards, 10 yards, 10 yards, first down, right? It's so difficult to go like 19 play drives. You get 6 first downs, 19 plays, 6 first downs, and you score a touchdown. That's very difficult. Without turning the ball over or getting a penalty or getting a sack, right? And just taking it out of the drive. Not all, but a lot of sacks are drive killers. A lot of penalties can be drive killers, So it's so difficult to just nickel and dime your way all the way down the field. It's huge. If you can, pick up a 35-yard completion, right? But only so much does it do that, but it also helps open up the field, right? Because especially with the Giants' offensive line, the poorest offensive line play that we've had in the past. I mean, when the quarterback can't go back, especially 2 years ago, we gave up all those sacks. When the quarterback can't even drop back for more than 2 seconds without worrying about getting his head handed to him, right? It shrinks the field, right? I mean, the safeties have to worry about, let me drop back 50 yards. They might throw it. No, right? Everybody starts moving up. Right? Everybody starts moving up. There's less holes, right? So, I mean, if you could throw the ball deep, right? And not even so much, of course, it would be nice to complete it, right? But at least if you can attempt a couple deep throws, right? At least that puts it in the mind of the defense. Well, they might go deep here. So, I got to be careful. Because good chance that everything's going to get thrown in front of me, but they did throw 3 deep passes so far today, so I can't get burned on that. Right? So if you can put that in the mind of the defenders, that's fantastic. But that's the one nice thing with Wilson. He's got some good points. Obviously, he's got some bad points. One of the bad points is that he holds on to the ball, right? Which is good and bad because he doesn't, he's very good with ball security, right? As far as like turning the ball over, throwing interceptions, obviously, and all that, being sloppy with the ball. So he'd rather take the sack than throw an interception, right? So, but he does hold on to the ball a lot, right? But one of the nice things is, I just read that article, he's very good on deep passes. Now, obviously, the wide receivers got to help, right, the quarterback out. The wide receiver can't be running right down. The sideline can't be here, and the wide receiver can't be here, right? Because then you got the cornerback, and the quarterback will have about maybe a foot to throw the ball. Obviously the guy's got to run. You got to give a nice cushion, right, between the wide receiver and the out of bounds where the quarterback can drop the ball in. But one thing Russell Wilson has done very well over his career, done it very, very well, is throw the deep ball, right? Now, between, obviously, Malik Neighbors, we've seen he can go up and get the ball. We got Slayton, who's got some speed, and we'll have to wait and see. Hyatt's been putting in a lot of work from what I'm hearing, especially from Big Blue Kickoff Live. Grow, the coach Grow, and Hyatt, they're putting in a lot of work. So he's Hyatt's trying to do what he can, but also what they were talking about Big Blue Kickoff Live was, Hyatt was supposed to be a work in progress. So that's pretty much what he's been. He's been a work in progress. Now, can he wind up getting on the field more this year? We'll have to wait and see. I certainly hope they find a way to get him more than 8 receptions. I mean, that was horrible, absolutely horrible last year. Of course, having 4 quarterbacks play for you is not an ideal situation either. But boy, I'll tell you what, I certainly hope they can find more. And I think it was 23 receptions he had in his first season, right? And then last season he had 8 receptions. So we traded up for him in the 3rd round. We gave up 2 draft picks to go get the guy, right? He's got the speed and all that stuff and everything. In the first 2 years, he only has 31 catches. Hopefully we can find something for him, right? Because it'd be fantastic if we can get him the ball some more, right? But we'll have to wait and see. But that is one nice thing, with Wilson, right? Good on that deep ball. That'll get some excitement going, right? And then finally, I saw this. This just goes to show you, right, that the Giants, especially their defense, we're building something. Okay. Giants edge rusher rankings are set very high. Now it's interesting. They have they ranked like the top 32 edge rushers, and lo and behold, Abdul Carter is one of them. Hasn't played a snap in the NFL yet, and Abdul Carter is in the top 32. Right. I'm going to read this article here. But I think there's a total of 4 teams, I think it was, that have 2 edge rushers in the top 32 or top 20. Top 20. There are 4 teams that have 2 edge rushers in the top 20. Giants are one of those 2 teams, and I'm not even including Kayvon, right? So, all right. So we got edge rushers rankings set expectations for the Giants pass rush. Giants should have one of the best pass rushes in the sport with Brian Burns, Abdul Carter, and Kayvon Thibodeau working together. Let's not forget about Sexy Dexy either. In 2024, the Giants hoped that the combination of defensive tackle Dexter Lawrence and Brian Burns would be enough to overpower opposing offenses and make a few games attainable. Both played well, but the Giants offense, the poor, the sad, the horrible, the putrid Giants offense cut that dream short. General Manager Joe Schoen went back to the well in 2025, drafting Abdul Carter with the number 3 pick, the second first-round edge rusher of his tenure, right? Carter is expected to start over Kayvon and join Burns for one of the league's best pairings. With Lawrence between them, New York is once again supposed to wreak havoc on opposing offensive lines. In 2024's unit, it was promising. 2025's might be too big to feel. Subsequently, Pro Football Focus top 32 edge rush rankings set awfully high expectations for the Giants' pass rush. Burns, the most proven talent New York has along the edge, ranked 16th overall. Burns' first season in New York was a success as he posted a career-high 79.2 PFF grade, fueled by an 82.9 pass rush grade and 61 total pressures, both the second highest marks of his career. Carter, despite not having an NFL snap under his belt, fell just 4 spots behind him. Kayvon took a step forward in 2024, but went unranked on this list. Projecting rookie production is always tricky. However, Carter led the FBS and PFF pass rush grade with 92.4 and total pressures with 66, and he also ranked in the top 5 in pass rush win rate at 22.6%. He has all the tools to make an immediate impact at the NFL level. Carter has drawn comparisons to fellow Penn State alum Micah Parsons, who was elite as a rookie in 2021. Given his potential, it wouldn't be a surprise to see Carter crack the top 15 on this list next year. Giants joined the Texans with Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter, the Steelers with T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith, and Minnesota with Jonathan Grenard and Andrew Van Ginkel as the only teams with 2 players in the top 20. So there's only 4 teams in the NFL on this list anyway, who had 2 edge rushers listed in the top 20, and the Giants are one of them. 3 other teams had multiple picks in the top 32. Steelers, the Dolphins, each had a trio make the cut. Simply put, New York is supposed to have an elite pass rush. The organization has spent 2 first-round picks along the edge, another on Sexy Dexy, trading a second-round pick for Burns and drafting defensive tackle Darius Alexander. And I said, we're talking edge rushers. Let's not forget about Dexter Lawrence, the best nose tackle, the best defense, right, in the league, right? So then we took, obviously, Darius Alexander in the 3rd round of this year's draft. Both Burns and Lawrence signed top-end extensions. Given its importance to the defense and the offensive struggles, it will be asked to cover up. The Giants' defensive line is one of the most important units in all football. This group needs to be elite, and its mix of electric talents and depth make that a fairly safe bet. Now let's see here. Okay. Myles Garrett's number 1. I can't argue with that. I'm not going to go over everyone, but Myles Garrett, my goodness, what a freaking beast that guy is. Unbelievable. Yeah, Micah Parsons at number 2. We could have had him. Could you imagine if we had Micah Parsons and Abdul Carter and Burnsy? T.J. Watt was number 3. Nick Bosa, number 4. Aiden Hutchinson, number 5. Max Crosby is number 6. Trey Hendrickson of the Bengals, number 7. Jared Verse of the Rams, number 8. Will Anderson Jr. of the Texans, number 9. Khalil Mack, at 98 years old. Khalil Mack still on the list. He's number 10 with the Chargers. Josh Allen of the Jaguars is 11. Danielle Hunter with the Texans is 12. Alex Highsmith with the Steelers is 13. Gregory Rousseau of the Bills is 14. Jonathan Grenard with the Vikings is 15. Then Burnsy is 16. Van Ginkel is 17. Jalen Phillips, Miami is 18. Rashawn Gary of Green Bay is 19. Abdul Carter is number 20. So the Giants have 2 guys in the top 20 as far as edge rushers. Right? Once again, on this list. Yeah, that's all I'm going by on this list. So, as I said, that doesn't include Dexter Lawrence, and that doesn't include Kayvon either. Right. So, the Giants, and let's not forget about Golston. Don't forget about him either. Right. I mean, he can get up. He had like 6.5 sacks or so in a limited role last year as well too with Dallas. So we got some guys that can get after the quarterback, right? So and let's not forget, right, before Dexter got hurt and all that stuff. Remember, like the first 5, 6, 7 games or so, we were leading the NFL in sacks. We had like 35 after whatever it was. I can't remember, 6, 7 games or whatever it was. I mean, we were looking good. And of course, it tailed off a whole heck of a lot after that. But, let's not forget, for a while there, we were leading the NFL in sacks, right? And that's without, Abdul Carter, right? So let's not forget, we really should have a really good, not a pass rush, but we should have a very good defense, right? With the addition of Holland and Debo, right? With the Carrick's second season under the Bowen defense, hopefully, and hopefully Bowen can start putting him in maybe better positions to be more productive, right? Putting Banks on the number 2 wide receiver hopefully should help. Getting Newman back, Newman and Holland, that could be some really good safety tandem right there. And of course, Phillips in the slot. This should be a very, very good defense. But of course, time will tell. All right, guys, been 1 hour and 42 minutes. Whoever spent any time listening to me live, thank you. Or if anybody's going to spend any time watching the replays, once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Means the world to me. As always, you guys stay safe out there and go Giants! Woo! Oh, yeah.